You can't trust a person that's just optimizing for themselves. I've always been gifted at making a lot of money, and I've helped a lot of people make a lot of money in my life. We have to be very careful what we link our identity to and what we link our self-worth to. What revenue milestone changed the way I think about money? I don't know. Your first 10 million is a big deal. When you put 10 million in cash in your pocket for the first time, that's a big deal. When you have a net worth of $1 million, that's like number one. You're like, I technically am a millionaire. And then you realize that that's a good place to be, but having a net worth of $10 million is a lot more exciting, and there's a lot more safety and security in $10 million net worth than there is in one. And then, after 10, it's 20, 30, 40, 50. 100. 1 million and 10 million are probably, the two most important numbers that you got to hit to feel like you're secure. And then when you really get into higher levels of security, you're looking at, on a modest interest, is my interest able to sustain my lifestyle without cutting into my principal in perpetuity? And that's the objective, is to get to a place where you're earning an interest enough to cover your lifestyle. And that's when you know you're really set. I've helped many people make lots of money. I've always been gifted at making a lot of money, and I've helped a lot of people make a lot of money in my life, hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars. The process is, you have to build a scalable business model. You have to drive efficiencies across the entire business model and all aspects of the business. And you have to be innovative, and you have to have innovative products, and you have to have a mindset that keeps iterating until you find a winning business model. And then once you do, you have to continue iterating, and it takes on a life of its own. So in order to throw off, say, $10 million in profit to a founder, you have to have a business model that is highly efficient, solving a problem in the marketplace, and you have to optimize for that constantly. I help founders see their business from a fresh perspective. I help them find opportunities to optimize. I help them find opportunities to either fundraise or to recapitalize so that they can take money off the table or build a higher performing business. I mean, you could build a successful company just in it for the money. Now, it's not as fun. And those cultures, the money-driven cultures, tend to come with a lot of greed and ego and conflict, and they can be terrible places to work in, because if everybody's just there for the money, they're just there to optimize for their own self-interest. And so you don't have a group of people that are optimizing for what's best for the team and what's best for the company. They're optimizing for what's best for them. And those cultures are terrible to operate in. Many founders reach out to me. They've inadvertently built a culture that is optimized for money and for the self-interest of the individual as opposed to for the team or for the mission. And as a result, those cultures are very toxic and they're not fun to work in. You can't trust a person that's just optimizing for themselves. We all have to be working in the entity to optimize for something other than our own self-interest. And there's a lot of tools that you can utilize to detect the level of self-interest that the organization is optimizing for. And we built some of those that we make available to our clients. In order to know the consciousness of a person or an organization, you just have to look at the language. Language will tell you how people think, and how people think is going to tell you how they act. Ultimately, in an organization, we want to drive more action. So we study the language of the organization to be able to determine how the organization behaves and thinks. And then once we can identify that, we can change the way it thinks, behaves, and acts. So language is key. When I talk to a person, they share with me a lot. It's like a data dump. They're giving me all kinds of data about themselves, about their story, about who they are. And then from that, I can extract exactly what we need to do to help them improve themselves, but then also improve their organizations. But people are broadcasting so much data about themselves at all time. It's quite fascinating. I meet founders with great products all the time, and I bought many companies where the founder was a product person but did not have strong business sense. They get so excited about the product, they're so confident that they have the best product, that they don't realize that that's just one component of a successful formula. You have to have the best product, the best finance, the best marketing, the best sales, the best customer service, the best supply chain, the best treasury, the best international strategy, the best tax strategy. You need to have the best in all categories to have a successful business. A successful business is successful because it is competent in multiple disciplines. And I know founders that are very competent on the product discipline, but not in the other disciplines necessary to build a successful business. That's just one component of it. And a lot of times people might index too much in one aspect of the business. That's oftentimes what we help a founder do, is put a team together to augment them. So if they're very good at product, they need to bring some people in that are good at some other things, like perhaps manufacturing or supply chain or sales or or finance, but a founder that over-indexes in one particular category can be a benefit, but it also can be a risk. A benefit is they're very competent in their wheelhouse. The risk is they don't recognize that they're incompetent in all of the other things that are necessary to run a business. So the more over-indexed you are into one competency, the more you have to surround yourself with a good team in the other areas. You know, I never cared about 8 figures. Never excited me. Even 9 figures didn't excite me. So I didn't have to become anybody to break 8 figures or 9 figures. I had an expectation that I would far surpass that. I've never been impressed at 7 figures or at 8 figures with myself. Even at 9 figures, I wasn't impressed. These are all just milestones. They're nothing more than that. So you're climbing a mountain and there's some milestones along the way. They're very cool milestones. We should celebrate those milestones. But you know, I advise founders to not link their identity to those milestones. Link the identity to the journey, not the milestones on the way. If you link your identity to the amount of revenue or your net worth, trust me when I tell you this, I know this from experience, you will be crushed because these are things outside of our control. And it also means that we're linking our identity and our value and our self-worth to things that other people are judging us by. If you're linking your value and your identity and your self-worth to the fact that you have 100 million in the bank, well, what happens if that $100 million goes down to 0? Are you worth anything now? Are you valuable? Have you done anything special? You are very valuable. You are very capable. You have done something very special. You are capable of even doing something more special. Just because the real estate market crashes or tariffs change the nature of your business, or you have a terrible lawsuit, or you have some competition that eats away at your customer base, or you have some macro challenges that you get hit with, should not change your understanding of your own self-worth. And so we have to be very careful what we link our identity to and what we link our self-worth to. What's the cost of hiring talent that isn't spiritually aligned? I mean, it takes many different types of people to build a great business, and sometimes we can learn from those people that don't have the exact same values with us. We have to have similar values. So a person who's not very spiritual might also want to make the world a better place. They might also have a deep purpose. They might also feel like they have a unique set of skills that can make a big impact. And so it doesn't mean that we can't collaborate and work with people that don't have the exact same values as us, but they have to have complementary values, and they have to have similar values in mission and in purpose and making the world a better place. They don't necessarily have to have the exact same religious or spiritual values or rules that you prescribe to. I work with many different people with many different faiths. And even in my own faith in Christianity, there's a billion different ways to do Christianity. There's not just one way to do it. So every Christian that I meet has a whole different religion. They have different churches, different cultures, different methods, different beliefs. You know, there's a million different ways to do spirituality. I embrace everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, help boost this video. I want to get the word out about my work, and I could use your help. Thank you so much, and God bless.